a Canadian radio sanctuary podcast. The history of the Fraser River Lodge. You grew up in Germany, right?
That's right.
And where do we go from there?
I always wanted to come to Canada. When I grew up with nothing, when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I watched an old Western called River of No Return with Marilyn Monroe and Robert Mitchum back then. And when I've seen the rivers and the mountains, and I decided this is where I want to live when I'm big. And growing up very poor, I had a dream going on all my life. And when I was in my 20s, my best friend died in a car accident. And on his gravestone it says, "Don't dream your life, live your dream." That's when I decided the next day to quit my management job, and I came to Canada. I came here for 6 months to figure everything out.
How old were you then, Frank?
I was 29.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew it's now or never, last chance, and I did it.
So you followed your dream. Where did you first land in Canada? Was it in this area in British Columbia?
Oh yeah, Vancouver. And then I traveled extensively. I started in Washington all the way up to the Yukon and Alaska.
Was that a trip you took that lasted many months, or how did you do that?
6 months I came the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when I knew. I mean, I sold all my belongings back then already. I knew Canada, I said, but I had to go back one more time for my immigration. And so that took another 6 months, and then I started my company.
Now, what year was it? Are we talking about late 90s, mid-90s?
95.
95. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I started the fishing company right away when I came here. Met my wife, and the rest is history. We started it with nothing. My first truck was an old Fifth Avenue from Chrysler. Do you remember those?
Yes.
So I bolted a T-bar onto the metal bumper. That was my trailer hitch. And then I had a $3,700 boat, an old beater with an outdoor prop. And that's how it started. The rest is history. At the beginning, I washed semi-trucks because nobody wanted to do it. And my neighbor had a big company, and they complained they can't find anybody to wash trucks. I said, perfect, pays for my advertising. Did anything at the beginning just to survive.
For people who don't know this, who aren't living in the Agassiz area and they are listening to this now, where exactly is the Fraser River Lodge? I know it's down McDonald Road by the river.
Yeah.
How did you get that property? How did that come about?
Well, we started out in Chilliwack with a little two-bedroom home in the subdivision. And then we went to Chilliwack Mountain, but we outgrew the location, and then we were looking. And Agassiz was just perfect because it's away from the crowd as fishing goes. And back then, everything was about fishing, nothing else, right?
That's why you were known or still are by some people as the Fraser River Fishing Lodge, but your actual name is Fraser River Lodge.
It is true. We modified the name, ages ago, because what started out as fishing in 2007, we decided fishing has no future with a business like that, at least not standing on the one fishing lake. And that's when we decided to go into weddings, and that was the jackpot. I had a staff meeting September 2007, and we started weddings in 2008. We had 4 that year. We had 21 the next year. We had 53 the next year. And then we went up to 74, and now it's always consistent and well into the hundreds.
Having gone down to where your lodge is a number of times, and I have actually been there when a wedding is underway or they're setting up the big tents that they have there, and it is a beautiful setting with Mount Shiam across the river.
Oh yeah, there's only one location like that. It's really, really spectacular.
I get the feeling that your love for this area hasn't changed at all.
No, I mean, that's why I'm still here. I mean, looking at the last year, it's devastating. We've lost 90% of our business. And, but we're still, people are booking weddings like there's no tomorrow. just for when everything opens up again. I think by next month we'll probably have close to 200 weddings pre-booked.
My goodness. Wow.
Yeah, hey, Mike.
Now, do you have bookings for like corporate meetings or conferences as well?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we do. We are booked now up to 2 years in advance. Because a lot of our bookings that were supposed to come last year and this spring, most of them has postponed. Some of them have canceled.
Yes.
But you'll be hard pressed to find a weekend date next year. Like Saturdays for sure are all gone.
So when you have the fishing tours, or I've seen some photos online on your website and Facebook page where you can see people who have caught these incredibly large sturgeons. Under normal conditions, or do you still, even with the pandemic on right now, do people still go on those fishing tours, or is that not happening right
Yeah, we still
now?
do the fishing because we can do the social distancing. But the weddings, I mean, we can't even have a complete wedding for 4 people. This is a joke.
Mm.
I mean, we have a wedding hall that seats over 200. I can go in a tiny restaurant with 30 people, but I can't put 4 in a wedding hall because it falls under the category weddings.
You've had a number of movies shot there, haven't you?
Oh, we've done lots of them.
Some of them are those Hallmark movies. Some of them are, anyway.
Yeah, we've the best one we turned away was actually RV.
What was it? RV?
RV, the movie.
Oh, is that the one with Robin Williams?
Yeah. They wanted to shoot at the big convention at the end at our place. But they required that we cancel all our existing guests, and we said, nope, not everything. You can't buy everything.
Yeah.
It's an old school loyalty thing. It's a funny thing.
Well, yeah, you can't. You can't accommodate everybody.
That's right.
What about the bison that you have there?
Well, that was my wife and I. We were thinking. We've seen some places on the West Coast. They had a falcon and some interesting animals, and I thought, we can do better. So let's see what speaks to us. And I think going back, what we've almost lost due to mankind, and that were the bison. That's why we decided, let's go with the bison. Economically, of course, the least viable solution because they are not cheap to accommodate. Just the fencing, I spent $50,000.
But I'm sure a lot of your guests enjoy them.
That's why we have them, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we hope everything at the lodge gets back to normal and everywhere as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Eh? Okay. Well, thank you, Frank. Really appreciate this chat today.
Sure. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and we're the lucky ones for having you moved here and set up that beautiful building. By the way, I meant to ask you earlier, did you just get a construction company, or were you involved in the actual construction of that lodge?
Well, I drew that lodge when I was a little nobody and I had nothing. Because I knew one day I'm going to build a lodge like this. And then, of course, I had tall timber log builders. I mean, they are amazing. We paired with over 40 log home builders and tall timber from Agassiz, actually. You know what's funny with this? We did this with a handshake. We did not have a contract. Can you believe that?
No.
He didn't get the logs and got started. I didn't even have the money. I had to sell my home first. And he ordered the logs and got started. And we had a handshake instead of a contract.
That sounds like something they did in the Old West.
Well, that's Hartmut is an old fellow German guy, and we're from the same area. And it's funny, some people are still operating old school, and we still work to this day. He built the wedding hall for us. Then my friend Randy was involved with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he died by now, unfortunately. Yeah, some people you can still do business like in the good old days.
Yeah. I just want to say before we go, when people who haven't done this before look on your site and see the beautiful photographs of the wedding hall and the dining area and the building, of course, the exterior shots. It is just a spectacular building you have.
Well, when you are up on the deck and you look out onto the river with the 7,000-foot mountain in the background, nothing has changed in 2,000 years, except there are bison now.
Yes. Yes, that's true. You've got bison there, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
well, thank you, Frank. I appreciate your
yeah, thank
time.
you. Yeah, okay, you too. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.